We are going to talk about something incredibly powerful, the mirror principle. This principle, when understood and applied, can change your reality. But if you ignore it, you might find yourself stuck in the same patterns, unable to move forward. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a mirror. This mirror reflects everything you think, feel, and believe about yourself and the world. If you look into this mirror and see only limitations, doubts, and fears, then that is exactly what your life will reflect back to you. Your reality becomes a direct reflection of your inner world. So if you want to change your outer world, you must first change your inner world. This is the essence of the mirror principle. When you wake up in the morning, your brain is in a very suggestible state. Your brain waves transition from delta, the slowest waves, to theta, to alpha, and finally to beta, which is your normal waking state. This is a critical time because your mind is more open to new ideas and beliefs. What do most people do when they wake up? They immediately start thinking about their problems, their to-do lists, and all the stresses they have to face. These thoughts trigger the same emotions they felt the day before. Their bodies react with stress, worry, and anxiety. This means they are starting their day by reaffirming their past, creating a predictable future. But what if you use this time differently? What if, instead of focusing on your problems, you focused on your potential? When you wake up, take a few moments to visualize your ideal day. See yourself as the person you want to be. Feel the emotions of success, happiness, and love. By doing this, you are setting the tone for your day and sending new signals to your brain and body. Your brain is like a record of the past. It holds all your memories, experiences, and learned behaviors. When you wake up and think the same thoughts, you activate the same neural pathways. These pathways are connected to the emotions you felt during those experiences. So, if you think about a stressful meeting, you feel the stress again. This creates a loop where your thoughts trigger emotions, and those emotions trigger more thoughts. You end up living in the past, even though it's a new day. To break this cycle, you must become aware of your thoughts and emotions. Notice when you are thinking about the past or feeling negative emotions. When you catch yourself in this state, take a deep breath and shift your focus. Remind yourself that you have the power to create a new reality. Your past does not define you. It's just a collection of experiences that you can learn from and move beyond. In the evening, as you prepare to sleep, your brain waves slow down again. You go from beta to alpha to theta and finally to delta, the slowest waves associated with deep sleep. This is another window of opportunity. Before you go to bed, take some time to reflect on your day. What went well? What could you improve? Then visualize your ideal future. See yourself achieving your goals and living your dream life. Feel the emotions of joy, gratitude, and fulfillment. This practice helps to reprogram your subconscious mind, setting the stage for a new reality. Most people live their lives on autopilot. They wake up, check their phones, go through their daily routines, and repeat the same patterns day after day. Their bodies are conditioned to these routines, and their minds are stuck in the past. To create a new reality, you must break free from these patterns. This requires conscious effort and intention. One powerful way to do this is through meditation. Meditation allows you to quiet your mind, connect with your inner self, and open up to new possibilities. When you meditate, you move beyond your analytical mind and tap into the subconscious. This is where true transformation happens. Start with just a few minutes a day. Sit quietly, focus on your breath, and let go of any thoughts or distractions. As you practice, you'll find it easier to enter a state of calm and clarity. During meditation, visualize your desired reality. See it as if it is already happening. Feel the emotions of success, love, and happiness. The more vivid and detailed your visualization, the more powerful it becomes. This sends a clear signal to your brain and body, creating new neural pathways and emotional responses. Over time, your external reality will begin to mirror these internal changes. Another key aspect of the mirror principle is your self-talk. The words you speak to yourself have a profound impact on your reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough, then that is what you will experience. Your self-talk shapes your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your reality. Let's break this down further. Self-talk is the inner conversation you have with yourself all day long. It's like a running commentary in your mind. Sometimes you might not even notice it, but it's always there, influencing how you see yourself and the world around you. If this self-talk is negative, it can hold you back in many areas of your life. For instance, if you keep telling yourself that you're not good at something, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you act in ways that reinforce this belief. Think about a time when you faced a challenge. What did you tell yourself? If you thought, I can't do this, or I'm not smart enough, how did it make you feel? Probably discouraged, right? And when you feel discouraged, you're less likely to try your best. This creates a cycle where negative self-talk leads to negative outcomes, which then reinforces the negative self-talk. On the other hand, positive self-talk can have the opposite effect. When you tell yourself, I can handle this, or I am capable, you start to believe it. This belief boosts your confidence and encourages you to take action. Even if things don't go perfectly, positive self-talk helps you to see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as evidence of your limitations. Your self-talk is like a mirror reflecting back your thoughts and feelings about yourself. If the reflection is negative, it's hard to see your true potential. But if the reflection is positive, you start to see yourself in a more empowering light. This doesn't mean ignoring your problems or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus on your strengths and abilities and believing in your capacity to overcome difficulties. The words you use in your self-talk are incredibly powerful. They shape your beliefs about who you are and what you can achieve. For example, if you repeatedly tell yourself, I am not good enough, this message gets ingrained in your mind. Over time, it becomes a core belief that influences how you approach life. You might avoid taking risks or trying new things because you don't believe in your abilities. This belief can limit your potential and keep you stuck. But what if you change the words you use? What if you start telling yourself, I am good enough, or I can do this? At first, it might feel strange or even untrue, but with practice, these positive messages can become new beliefs. And as your beliefs change, so does your reality. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to feel more confident and capable. Changing your self-talk takes time and effort, but it's worth it. Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue. Notice when you're being hard on yourself or when negative thoughts creep in. When this happens, pause and challenge these thoughts. Ask yourself if they're really true. Often they're not. They're just old patterns that no longer serve you. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are you kind and supportive to yourself, or are you critical and harsh? If you catch yourself being negative, pause and reframe your thoughts. Replace negative statements with positive affirmations. For example, instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I am capable and strong. I can handle anything that comes my way. These affirmations may feel awkward at first, but with practice, they will become more natural and believable. Gratitude is another powerful tool for changing your reality. When you focus on what you are grateful for, you shift your attention away from lack and scarcity. This creates a positive energy that attracts more good things into your life. Every day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you are grateful for. They can be simple things like a beautiful sunset, a kind word from a friend, or a delicious meal. As you practice gratitude, you'll find more and more things to be thankful for, and your overall outlook on life will improve. The mirror principle is all about reflection. Your external reality is a reflection of your internal state. If you want to change your reality, you must first change your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. This takes time and practice, but the results are worth it. You have the power to create a life that you love, filled with joy, success, and fulfillment. Now let's talk about the importance of taking action. Visualization, meditation, and positive self-talk are all essential, but they must be accompanied by action. You can't just sit back and wait for things to change. You must take steps towards your goals every day. These steps don't have to be big or dramatic. Even small actions taken consistently can lead to significant changes over time. Taking action is the bridge between your dreams and reality. When you visualize, meditate, or engage in positive self-talk, you are setting the stage for success. These practices align your mind with your desires, but without action, they remain just that, desires. Think of it like planting a seed. Visualization, meditation, and positive self-talk are like watering and nurturing that seed. But if you never plant it in the soil, it will never grow. Action is planting the seed. Every goal, no matter how big or small, requires action to come to fruition. For example, if you dream of becoming healthier, visualization can help you imagine your healthier self. Meditation can keep you focused and calm, and positive self-talk can keep you motivated. But without taking actions like eating nutritious foods, exercising regularly, and getting enough sleep, your dream of better health will remain just a dream. You don't have to take massive actions all at once. Sometimes the thought of taking big steps can be overwhelming and paralyzing. Instead, focus on small, manageable actions. These small actions might seem insignificant on their own, but when you do them consistently, they add up over time and lead to significant changes. It's like building a wall. Each brick on its own doesn't look like much, but when you lay them one by one, you eventually build a strong, solid wall. Consistency is key. Taking small actions every day creates a habit. Habits are powerful because they become automatic behaviors. When something becomes a habit, you no longer need to rely on willpower or motivation to do it. For instance, if you make it a habit to exercise for just 10 minutes every morning, over time, you won't even think about it, you'll just do it. And those 10 minutes, day after day, will improve your health significantly. Think about any skill you've ever learned. Whether it's playing an instrument, learning a new language, or mastering a sport, you didn't become proficient overnight. It took consistent practice. The same principle applies to achieving your goals. Each small step is a practice that brings you closer to your objective. It's also important to recognize that taking action builds momentum. When you take the first step, no matter how small, it creates a sense of progress. This progress motivates you to take the next step and then the next. Momentum makes it easier to keep going. Imagine pushing a heavy boulder. The initial push is the hardest, but once the boulder starts rolling, it requires less effort to keep it moving. Sometimes fear and doubt can stop us from taking action. We worry about failing or not being good enough, but taking action, even imperfectly, helps to overcome these fears. When you take action, you gain experience. This experience builds confidence. The more you act, the more you learn and grow. You start to see that failure is not the end, but a learning opportunity. Each step, even if it's a stumble, is a step forward. Another crucial aspect of taking action is that it brings clarity. You might not have all the answers when you start, and that's okay. Action helps you figure things out. As you move forward, you learn what works and what doesn't. This feedback is invaluable because it helps you adjust your approach and refine your strategies. Clarity comes from doing, not just thinking. Start by setting clear, specific goals. What do you want to achieve? What steps do you need to take to get there? Break your goals down into manageable tasks and create a plan. Then, take action. It doesn't matter if the action is small or imperfect. The important thing is to keep moving forward. Each step you take brings you closer to your desired reality. As you take action, stay open to feedback and adjust your approach as needed. The path to success is rarely a straight line. There will be obstacles and setbacks along the way. But if you stay committed and persistent, you will overcome them. Remember, the only way to fail is to give up. As long as you keep moving forward, you are making progress. Finally, surround yourself with positive influences. The people you spend time with have a significant impact on your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. If you are surrounded by negative, critical, or unsupportive people, it will be much harder to create a positive reality. Seek out people who inspire you, support you, and believe in your potential. Join a community of like-minded individuals who are also on a path of growth and transformation. Share your goals and challenges with them and celebrate your successes together. Having a strong support system can make all the difference in your journey. The mirror principle is a powerful tool for changing your reality. By understanding that your external world is a reflection of your internal state, you can take control of your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Use the windows of opportunity when you wake up and go to bed to set a positive tone for your day and reprogram your subconscious mind. Practice meditation, positive self-talk, and memories because it patterns or stamps or embosses networks of neurons into very specific patterns. And then the emotional quotient helps us to remember the event. So we learn something new intellectually. We also cause networks of neurons to form. I mean, the Nobel Prize laureate Kandel in the year 2000 found that when people learn just one bit of information, they double the number of connections in their brain from 1,300 connections to 2,600 connections. So if they didn't review that information or repeat it, the connections pruned apart. So we know then that learning semantic information begins to organize circuitry in the brain, and experiences enrich the brain. The end product of experience, of course, is the emotion, and it causes us to feel certain ways. You can remember where you were on 9/11. You can tell me who you were with, what time of day it was, what you were doing, because whatever you were seeing in that moment or hearing in that moment changed how you were feeling. And the moment you felt altered or you felt differently, significantly, your brain perked up and you paid attention to whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then most of our thoughts and feelings tend to be within the neural circuitry of the past and the emotions of the past chemically. So if you take a thought, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So if you combine a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, and you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, that cycle of thinking and feeling creates what's called an attitude. If you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some pretty bad feelings, you'll say, I have a pretty bad attitude today. So if how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, then attitudes are just shortened states of being. The hardest part of all of this, everything we're talking about, is one simple thing: making the time to do it. That's it. Making the time for your precious self to eliminate the people in your life and the things that you do just for a short period of time when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, and you say, okay, what is the greatest ideal of myself that I want to be today? But listen, I'm not going to get up until I am this person. When you begin to wrestle with your limitations and overcome them, you know, there's so much talk in the United States about self-love. People think self-love is getting a manicure or buying a sports car. That's not self-love. That's pleasure. Self-love is when you're sitting with yourself and you are working on overcoming your hardwired thoughts or beliefs or your emotional propensities that are connected to your past, and you are really working to overcome them. Right on the other side of your pain is freedom. Right on the other side of your fear is courage. Right on the other side of your sadness is joy. It's the same energy. It's just trapped in the body. When you stretch yourself past that point and you break free from the chains of those emotional addictions, the side effect of that is called joy. The body is liberated from that level of mind. When that happens, there's available energy to create with. So when you break through that, you begin to love yourself, you begin to respect yourself, and you begin to love and respect others because you see yourself in them. And now that you're free from it, you can understand them with compassion without knee-jerking in the same way. So the difficulty here is really making the time to do it. And if you began to think about a new way of being and you moved into a state where you said, I'm not going to get up until I am this person, not only did you memorize it neurologically in your brain, but you allowed the thoughts that you were thinking to become the experience to the point that your body, as the unconscious mind, began to live in that future reality in the present moment. And when you got up, when mind and body were working together in that state of being, and you said, I'm going to maintain the state of being my entire day, and I don't care. Bring on the challenges because I want to test my greatness. And you did that the entire day. The end of your day, when you finished your day, more than likely you'd have more energy than when you started. The literal translation of the word meditation in Tibetan means to become familiar with. The symbol means to become familiar with. So if you're becoming conscious of or familiar with your unconscious self, to the point you're so conscious of your unconscious thoughts, so familiar with your unconscious habits, and so aware of your emotions that you would never let them go by unnoticed by you, there's no chance for you to return back to the old self, to know thyself. And then, if you became familiar with a new self because you neurologically fired and wired it in your brain, and you emotionally conditioned your body, and you were able to do it enough times, sooner or later, it would get easier, and it would become more familiar to you, and you would be able to move into that state of being. By the way, a new state of being is a new personality, and a new personality is a new personal reality. One of the things about substances is that it actually helps to change chemistry in the brain and body, so there becomes a chemical dependence on it at that point. But the person who wants to change has to want to change. That's the first element. In other words, no one can make you change, but you have to find it in you to really see if this is what you want to do. I've studied people over the last 12 years. Why is it that one person, an old-timer, can look at his x-rays and see a spot on his lungs, and the doctor will say to him, hey George, you know that's a spot on your lungs. It's nothing now, but if you keep smoking it will be. And that guy just takes his cigarettes, throws them in the trash, and he's done the next day. How do you explain that? He made the decision, and the decision was an experience, and it began to rewrite his chemistry and his biology. How can a person who moves into a state of religious ecstasy, a state of absolute faith, drink strychnine and not get poisoned by it? It's a decision. It's an energetic decision. It's how powerful the mind really is. People then who actually want to make the decision to change have to make the decision with firm intention. Once you understand the how-to, that you can't use your conscious mind to do this, you have to move beyond the analytical mind. When you understand brainwave patterns and when you slip into a different state of mind, that it's easier to do it. So most people then, 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a set of memorized habits and behaviors that become part of our identity or personality. So 5% of the conscious mind is trying to change 95% of what we've memorized, hardwired, become addicted to emotionally. So the person may want to think positively, but they've been feeling negatively and oiling those programs for the last 25 years. They might want a new life with new conditions, and as they use their mind, conscious mind, to focus on that, their subconscious mind, they've been programmed to feel guilty. That's mind and body in opposition. we have to begin to recondition the body to a new mind. So change isn't hard, it's just that you've got to get the manual to understand how to begin to unlearn and relearn, to break the habit of the old self and reinvent the new self. The latest research in neuroplasticity tells us we're not hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of our lives. The latest research in epigenetics says we're not doomed by our genes, that in fact we're marvels of adaptability and change. So as a person started to contemplate and think about, who do I want to be when I open my eyes? What would it be like to be happy? What would it be like to live a new life? The frontal lobe is looking out into the landscape of the entire brain because it has connections to the entire neocortex, and it's got to resolve the problem. So it starts calling up different networks of neurons that are relevant to the question based on the knowledge the person learns or the experiences that they had, and it begins to seamlessly piece together this new understanding, and that's called intention. And so if you're reading a book about how to become more happy, or if you're reading a book on how to be a leader in your life, where you're studying the process, every time you learn something new, you add new connections to your brains and raw materials for you to imagine even more. The act of mentally rehearsing begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like it's already happened. Now, the brain is typically a record of the past, but the moment we install the neurological hardware, it becomes a map to the future. And you keep doing that, the hardware becomes a software program, which means you start thinking like a genius, you start acting like a happy person because there's no mystery there because you installed the circuits. And then these people didn't wait for their wealth or their health to feel gratitude and to feel empowered or to feel love, a love for life. They began to feel those emotions ahead of the experience, and their body, as the unconscious mind, doesn't know the difference between the experience and their life that creates the emotion, and their emotion that they're creating by thought alone. The body's believing it's living in the future, in the present moment, and the stronger the emotion that they felt, the more they're going to pay attention to the thoughts they're thinking. And now all of a sudden they're changing their biology from living in the past, present reality to living in the future, present reality. And I was so intrigued by this process that I went back to school to study neuroscience because it was the answer in the internal process of rehearsing and imagining. They had long moments where they lost track of time and space, where when they opened their eyes, they thought it was maybe 15-20 minutes later, and it was an hour and 15 minutes later. When we get into the present moment, there's a moment where you lose track of yourself, you forget about yourself, and only in the present moment do you have access, according to the quantum model of reality, to other possibilities. And when you're truly in the present moment, the generous present moment, that's the moment then that you are no longer living in the familiar past or the predictable future. And in order for us to change, I realized that we have to get beyond our environment. And what's our environment made of? People, husbands, kids, bosses, objects, things, places. You got to get beyond your emotions, your body, your pain, your disease, and you got to get beyond this concept of linear time. So when we get beyond our body, our environment and time, we become pure consciousness, and now that consciousness can begin to connect to the consciousness of the field. And all of a sudden I realized that when people are nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, that's the moment. And if you could give 1 to 3 different things that we could think differently or eliminate when a thought comes to us or we react in a certain way, if there's something you think, if we eliminated 1, 2, or 3 things and we did this every day for 7 days, we would start to see incredible feelings of differently. We'd feel healthier, more lively, more loved. What would be those few things? Okay? Well, most people, number 1, they get up in the morning and they check their cell phone, they check their text, their WhatsApp, their Facebook, they post something on Facebook, drive to work the same way, do the same thing, so they're in a program. They've actually lost their free will to the program. So if you start your day and you start your day with this simple question, what is the greatest ideal of myself that I can be today? You ask yourself that question. Now listen, your body's gonna go like, well, we've got to get a cup of coffee, and you've got to go, I'm tired, and you've got to go, Body, you're not the mind, I'm the mind right now. You're gonna sit here, I'm gonna feed you, you're gonna get your coffee, you're gonna do all those things, but right now this is my time. You're gonna obey me, right? So now the body's no longer the mind, you're the mind. And so when it wants to get up and you become aware of it, you return back to the present moment. Every time you do that, it's a victory, and you're changing some aspect of yourself. So then ask yourself, I do this all the time. Write down 4 thoughts that you're going to stay conscious of the whole day. I can't, it's too hard. You'd be surprised the moment you become conscious of what those thoughts are, how unconscious you've been to them all day, all for weeks on end. Write down what you speak, how you speak, 4 things you want to change, how you act. How do you act? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you make excuses? Do you feel sorry for yourself? That's a victim consciousness. What emotions do you live by? Is it possible that you're so used to living by guilt and you don't even know it's guilt? It just feels like you? Do you allow your energy to drop? Become conscious of those states of mind and body and review them and say, this is the old self. Then say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And start firing and wiring and start feeling it. What behaviors will I demonstrate today? What choices will I make? One day, one lifetime. Just like you did, rehearse them. Rehearse the whole entire thing. Begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain. And if you keep installing it, the hardware is going to become a software program, and you're going to start thinking and acting that way. And then here's the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what your future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? And don't get up until you feel that way. Now practice that for a few days and then see if you can stay in that state and watch all of a sudden all those weird doors start opening for you. Synchronicities. Synchronicities, whatever they are. Number 2, take up time at the end of your day. The end of your day before you lay down and give thanks for your life. Feel gratitude and really teach your body what it feels like. The emotional signature of gratitude. Gratitude means you're getting something. If I give you something that's of value, you would say thank you because you would feel it, right? So when you're receiving, you're giving thanks. So gratitude is the ultimate state of receiving. So then people only accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to their emotional state. So if you're in a state of gratitude, every thought's going to make it right down into your body. If you're saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and your body's programmed in negativity, it's saying, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not, that thought's going to stop right here. So as you elevate your state, there are about 1-200 different chemical reactions that go on in the body that begin to restore and repair the body in a state of gratitude. And so we've done the research to prove that. 10 minutes and just feel it with all of your heart. That's it. And the third thing, and very important, take time. Whenever it is, sit down, close your eyes, and begin to just open your awareness to the space around you and just sense it and pay attention to it and become more aware of it. The act of opening your awareness begins to reduce the stress hormones and creates more coherent brainwave states.